You've been lied to about what wealth actually looks like. Right now, at this very moment, the richest families on the planet are doing something that most financial influencers will never tell you about, because frankly, most of them don't even know it's happening. They are deliberately making themselves invisible. And I don't mean hiding their money in offshore accounts. I'm not talking about tax loopholes or Swiss bank secrecy. I'm talking about something far more sophisticated, a cultural strategy, one that has been quietly practiced by old money dynasties for centuries, but is now being aggressively readopted in the modern era for a reason that will completely change the way you see wealth, status, and the future. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to realize that everything the internet tells you rich looks like is exactly what the rich want you to believe. Let's start with a question most people never think to ask. Why would a billionaire not want you to know they're a billionaire? In 2019, a little-known research paper came out of the University of Chicago, not from the economics department, not from finance, from the sociology department. The researchers studied the consumption behavior of ultra-high net worth families across 4 generations, and what they found was stunning. The wealthiest tier, what they called generational capital holders, were spending less on visible luxury than people in the income bracket directly below them. People making $400,000 a year were spending more on status symbols than people worth $400 million. That's not an accident, that's a system. Here's what's actually happening. When new money comes in, when someone suddenly gets rich, the first instinct is to signal it. The Rolex, the Range Rover, the Instagram aesthetic, because new money needs to prove itself. It's insecure. It needs external validation. But old money doesn't need to prove a thing. Old money has already been validated by time, by bloodline, by institutions that don't care about your Instagram followers. And here's where it gets really interesting. The old money families figured out something the new rich never did, and it is that visibility is a liability. When you look wealthy, you become a target for lawsuits, for social climbers, for government redistribution policies, for bad actors, for people who want a piece of what you've built. The Rothschilds understood this in the 1800s. The Rockefellers restructured their entire public image around it after public backlash in the early 20th century. Even today, the truly wealthy, the Walton family, the Mars family, the Koch descendants, live in a way that is almost deliberately boring by public standards. This isn't frugality. This is strategic invisibility. And right now, in 2025, we are watching this strategy reach levels we've never seen before, because something changed. Something triggered this retreat from visibility, and it started not in a boardroom but in a courtroom. In 2022, a leaked document now referred to in legal circles as the Pandora Fallout exposed over 27,000 ultra-wealthy individuals and their asset-holding structures across 117 countries. Politicians, royals, CEOs, old money heirs. And here's what that document revealed that nobody in mainstream finance is talking about. The wealthiest families didn't just have money in these structures. They had been moving it there systematically over decades in preparation for something. Rising populism, increasing wealth taxes, social unrest, digital surveillance. For the first time in modern history, being identifiably wealthy was becoming dangerous, not just uncomfortable. Countries like Spain, Norway, and Switzerland began pushing aggressive wealth taxation. In the United States, multiple states introduced legislation specifically targeting high net worth individuals with new exit taxes. The ultra-wealthy looked at this landscape and did what old money has always done when threatened. They adapted. But here's the part that should genuinely fascinate you. The strategy they returned to was not new at all. It's centuries old, and it has a name. It's called quiet wealth architecture. Quiet wealth architecture is the deliberate structuring of your life, your assets, your social presentation, and your language in a way that conceals economic power behind cultural capital. Let me break that down in plain English. Instead of owning a $50 million penthouse, you hold it in an LLC under a trust, in a name that means nothing to the public. Instead of wearing a $50,000 watch, you wear a watch that costs $180 from a small Swiss manufacturer that only 300 people in the world know about. Instead of posting your vacation on social media, your children attend schools with active NDAs and zero social media policies. It's not hiding, it's architecture. There is a crucial difference. Hiding is reactive. Architecture is intentional design. And when you start to see it, you realize it's everywhere. The old money family next door with the beat-up Volvo and the understated house that sits on 11 acres. The man at the coffee shop in the plain navy sweater who just quietly bought the building it's in. Now, let's dig deeper into the 5 pillars of how the rich are seriously hiding their wealth from you. Let's get specific. Because this is where this video becomes genuinely different from anything you've seen on this topic. These are the 5 actual mechanisms old money uses to hide its wealth in plain sight, and none of them are illegal. None of them are shady. They are simply invisible to people who don't know how to look. Pillar 1, the entity layer. Old money does not own things. Entities own things. Family limited partnerships. Irrevocable trusts. Delaware LLCs nested inside Wyoming holding companies. These are not exotic structures. They are legal, they are boring, and they are precisely why you cannot Google who owns the house on the hill. A name on a deed is a vulnerability. A well-structured entity is a wall of deliberate silence. Pillar 2, the aesthetic downgrade upward. Here's the paradox that confuses people. Old money buys more expensive things, but they look cheaper. A Patek Philippe Aquanaut in stainless steel looks like a $300 sports watch to the untrained eye. But in the right room, in the right handshake, it communicates something that a diamond Rolex never could. It says, I don't need you to know. The same principle applies to clothing. A made-to-measure huntsman suit from Savile Row has no logo, no monogram. It fits differently. It drapes differently, but it doesn't announce itself. This is what the fashion world calls stealth wealth, and it's not a trend. It's a return. Pillar 3, geographic anonymity. Old money does not live in the zip codes you think they do. They have quietly migrated, not to Miami penthouses or Manhattan high-rises, but to places like Jackson Hole, Wyoming, the Florida Panhandle, certain counties in Virginia and Connecticut that have no income tax and fiercely protected privacy laws. They buy land, not apartments. Land doesn't depreciate. Land doesn't get you on a building's public residence list. And land is the one asset class that, historically, no government has ever been able to fully seize from a family that knows what they're doing. Pillar 4, institutional membership over consumption. Old money does not signal status through buying. It signals through belonging. Country clubs with 40-year wait lists. University alumni boards. Family foundations with invitation-only donor circles. These institutions are inaccessible to money alone. You need lineage, referral, and time. And that's precisely why they work as status signals. They are impossible to fake quickly. Pillar 5, the information asymmetry play. This one is the most powerful and the least discussed. Old money families invest heavily in information that the public does not have access to. Not stock tips, not crypto calls. I'm talking about relationships. The attorney who knows what legislation is coming before it's public. The land broker who knows which county is about to be rezoned. The university endowment manager who co-invests alongside you in a pre-market infrastructure deal. This is not insider trading. This is what happens when generational relationships, built over decades, even centuries, create access to deal flow that no amount of new money can simply purchase. Now here's where I need you to stop and genuinely sit with this. Most of us have been playing a completely different game, and we didn't even know it. We've been taught that wealth looks like something, that success should be visible, that if you made it, people should be able to see it. That belief, that single cultural assumption, is costing ordinary people thousands of dollars every single year. The designer bag bought to signal arrival, the luxury car lease that drains cash flow. The social media aesthetic built to project a life that barely exists. And while people are spending money to look wealthy, the actually wealthy are spending energy to look ordinary. But here's the flip side, the realization that I want you to carry with you after this video ends. The strategy of quiet wealth architecture is not only for billionaires. It's not only for old families. It's a philosophy of power, and you can begin adopting its principles right now regardless of your net worth. Start by asking yourself, where am I performing wealth instead of building it? Because every dollar spent on performance is a dollar not compounding. Every hour spent signaling is an hour not accumulating. Old money does not perform. Old money positions. Think about the entity layer. You don't need $100 million to open an LLC. You don't need a Rockefeller last name to understand that separating your personal identity from your assets creates both legal protection and psychological freedom. Think about institutional belonging. What rooms are you trying to get into? And are you getting into those rooms by buying your way in, or by building the relationships that make the door open quietly on its own? Think about information asymmetry. Not everyone has access to a 200-year-old family network, but everyone has access to depth. The person who reads deeply, thinks clearly, and asks better questions always gets closer to the table than the person who just has money. The rich are hiding their wealth again. But they're not hiding from you, they're hiding from noise, from instability, from the chaos of a world that is increasingly unable to tell the difference between looking rich and being rich. The question is, which side of that line are you building toward? Now before you go, I want to be direct with you because you've stayed this long, and that tells me something about the kind of person you are. You're not here for aesthetic inspiration. You're not here to be told that old money wears quiet colors and buys antiques. You're here because you sense something real is shifting in the world, in how wealth is built, protected, and transferred, and you want to understand it at a level that actually changes how you think. If that's you, and I believe it is, then there are two things I need you to do right now. First, smash that subscribe button, and not because every YouTuber says that. Because this channel exists to cover the ideas that the financial mainstream never reaches, the sociology of wealth, the philosophy of capital, the invisible architecture that separates dynasties from lottery winners. We drop new content every week, and the people in this community are without question the most thoughtful audience I've ever built. You want to be in that room. Second, comment below with one word, just one word, that describes how you currently show up financially to the world. Is it loud, quiet, building, performing, hiding? Whatever your honest answer is, drop it below. I will read every single one, and your answer is going to shape the very next video I make for this channel. Because here's the truth. The richest people in the world learned to be quiet a long time ago. It's your turn.